Hey friends, Kenna here with a really exciting announcement. The Martin Center for Integration, the organization that brings you This Whole Life, is running a virtual DBT group for Minnesota and Wisconsin residents beginning January of 2026. DBT stands for Dialectical Behavioral Therapy, and it's got 4 main pillars: mindfulness, distress tolerance, emotion regulation, and interpersonal effectiveness. In short, DBT skills are focused on growing our capacity to live in the both and, to live in the tensions and the seeming contradictions that can make our lives and relationships feel so burdensome. You guys, this is the bread and butter of what we do in our clinic and what leads to daily mental health and flourishing. The group is focused on psychoeducation and skills. It's not traditional talk therapy. It's going to be led by the incredible Carmen Franzmeyer, a licensed marriage and family therapist here in our group, for 10 Tuesday evenings beginning January 20th, 2026. So for more information, check out martincenterforintegration.com/DBT. And now on to the episode.
Welcome back to the next Storytellers episode of This Whole Life, friends. If you were with us last week, you heard from Mike and Alicia Hernon of the Messy Family Project. Welcome back, you guys. How are you?
It's great to be back with you.
Yeah.
You as well. So in the Storytellers episodes, we love to give our listeners just some sense of a story of encouragement, hilarity, depth, any blend of those things. So you can bring whatever you want to the table here. We hear a lot of folks, questions for people in high school, college, even people who are already married, around the idea of how do you know that the person that you are maybe dating, that you are called to marry this person? How do you know that they are quote unquote the one? And I would take umbrance a little bit with the title of the one, but that's a separate topic for another day. Looking back, what was the moment or the indications for you two that you had a really confident sense that God was calling you to marry each other?
So, well, first of all, I do have to give a little qualifier in that I remember the priest who was preparing us for marriage. He said, no one ever goes to ordination or to marriage being 100% sure. He said, nobody's 100% sure because there is no certainty in life. The only certainty in life, right, is death and taxes, right? Or at least death. But, and so that was, and in some ways that was actually very comforting because I knew I don't have to be 100% sure, right? Because that's also what faith is. And also you don't know what's going to happen in your life. You're like, I don't know if I'm going to be sick or healthy or rich or poor. All I know is I'm going to do this life with you. That's what you're saying, right? When you get married. So for me, we met, we both are graduates of Franciscan University. So we met their orientation weekend. Right. And I was, and I tell this story because I'll be honest with you, probably after a couple months, if somebody had put a gun to my head and said, are you going to marry this guy? I would have said, yeah, probably, but I couldn't even admit it to myself. I didn't even want to, I couldn't even go there, And so, really after we met, it was in many ways like a slow burn, if you will, like a very slow progression. There was no
natural and organic.
Yeah. I don't remember for me, there being one moment, but it was more us having the same group of friends and knowing each other in a group, but then also having one-on-one conversations and a lot of laughter. I mean, it was really funny, so it always made me laugh. And I have to be honest too, if Mike was really not a lot like the perfect ideal husband I had in my mind. I'll be honest with you. He wasn't.
I knew this was going to come.
Goofier. He's a little goofier than my ideal.
If you're only listening on audio, I'm so sad that you didn't get to see Mike's face just now. It was delightful.
But it was kind of like one of those things just over time.
Yeah, I'm very curious now what's going to happen.
It was just one of those things that over the first couple months of our freshman year in college, it just kind of became very obvious that we were such good friends. We were such good friends, and we were just a good fit for each other, and then there was that attractiveness too, so it was kind of hot. Yeah. So
of course,
so that worked.
And I think that's actually very important.
The hotness factor.
Well, just that you start there, right? You got to start with what you got. Okay. I might have been a little goofy, maybe a little cocky.
Oh, definitely cocky. But every young man is cocky. You got to be. It's the way it is.
But I love hearing, like just kind of thinking about this. Like I love asking priests and religious, what's your vocation story? How did you feel called? And I feel like that's the same for married couples. What's your vocation story, right? And so, but I discerned the priesthood. And I don't know if every Catholic man, but I know a lot of Catholic young men would discern the priesthood who were serious about their faith, right?
Just asking that question.
And asking that question. And I went back and forth, and I thought I had it resolved. And, but I didn't discern marriage as if it was some generic thing, that it was just like this, oh, well, you got the priesthood or marriage. It wasn't like that. Like I wasn't discerning, should I get married in general? Because I was getting married, or again, I don't think I thought of it directly when we started dating, right? Or when I was pursuing her, but I was like, I'm pursuing her. I'm not pursuing this idea of marriage, right? And I just love it because I didn't have a ton of foresight coming into our relationship. All I knew was I was physically attracted to her. She was beautiful. And I loved the way that she sang. I loved that she had a real substantial relationship with Jesus, that she was but that she also had this authenticity about her that I found a lot of girls, at least my experience was that there were many who weren't confident in themselves, that were just very, I don't know, there's something there. And then to be honest with you, and I shared this on the previous show where, I come from a divorced family and I was looking for something more. I wanted something to resonate with me, that I wasn't just looking for a woman. I was looking for a family. And so when I met her family of origin, I was like, okay, like I had some boxes in my mind. I don't think I would have ever had a list, but in my mind, I'm like, whoa, okay, this is a full package here. And I also like the fact that, I shouldn't say like is maybe not the right word, but I asked to date her, for her to be my girlfriend, and she said no. And she had made a commitment.
He was too goofy. No, I'm just kidding. That's how I said no.
But it took me a while for her to fully, buy in. And I'm like, she made me work for it. And I'm like, any girl that would accept me on face value, I shouldn't want to marry. Okay. I needed it. And as a young man, I needed that. That was good for me to be like, okay, I got to step up my game here. And then I actually found other friends of mine who actually liked Alicia as well. And I'm like, uh-oh. And there's a little competition. And I'm like, I will take you down. I will take you down to Chinatown. Don't you?
Man.
And then I remember one time when we weren't officially dating, we had gone out on dates and somebody else took her out to a dance, like so for whatever, formal dance, right?
Yeah.
And I would at first I was just jealous. And but during that time, I remember actually a very poignant moment where, and again, I had a relationship with Christ, so I went to prayer with it. I went with my emotion, my struggle, and God was like, "Why are you jealous? Is she yours? Is she your possession?" Like, it was just a really good, and like, what do you want for her? What does love really look like? And love was, and it just hit me. Love is about wanting the best for her, wanting her to be happy and joyful, right? And so I got rid of my jealousy because I realized there was something, I wanted to love her freely, and I wanted her to be free to do her thing. And that was actually one of those turning points, for me at least, in our relationship. And then as we continued to progress, it was that as you kind of said, this natural growth. Like, I did not have marriage right away. We were actually seeing a similar or the same spiritual director, or at least I had a spiritual director and who was encouraging me to consider the priesthood again.
Sure.
In the midst of me dating this woman. And I'm like, and because he saw, that I prayed and I'm listening to him. And it was great though, but he had me do a Marian consecration. And in that Marian consecration, I gave it all over. And it was at the end of that it was, again, I really didn't question if I was called to the priesthood during that point, but I had a priest ask me, so I was open. But at the end of the consecration, it was so crystal clear, I'm called to be with this woman.
And you know what, just that point about, I remember us talking about getting married at one point when we had that conversation. When the first time we talked about getting married, I think I was 19. I think we were both 19.
Which is so crazy.
Which is crazy. And I remember us saying, I can't get married, like getting married. But then if I thought, but wait a minute, but can I marry you? Yes. Yes. Yeah. The idea of getting married was overwhelming, but looking at Mike and saying, but can I marry you? Yes, I'm peaceful there. And so just that idea of like, you're not just discerning in a, just an ethereal, nebulous, nothing. You're discerning this person, and that's where I also like found peace. And
we didn't get married when we were 19. Okay.
We did not.
But
we were 21, but still, we were still
barely
very
legal.
It's turned out pretty well either way. That's fine.
That's right.
I guess so.
We don't recommend anyone get married that young, but
I do know.
But we do recommend getting married young because I think there's something about being dumb and in love and broke.
Yeah.
And building a life together and
growing up together. I mean, honestly, we really kind of like we grew up in our early adulthood together, and we were fortunate enough to be able to find each other, like in that God put us together at that time. But yeah, definitely don't wait. Just get married.
And we can give you more advice, but I don't want to stop.
I just love that there's so many misconceptions that I've heard, and I even, kind of bought into myself years ago around the idea of discerning anything, but obviously marriage in this case, the idea that I have to be 100% sure or else it's not discernment. And I love your proposal that it actually might not be discernment if you think you are 100% sure. Like
that's right.
Discernment entails this necessary version of trust and faith, which is
there's a risk.
I'm going to hope this parachute opens, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure enough that I can confidently make a decision with God's help. I love that you'll never be 100% sure. I love the idea that Alicia, that Mike wasn't your like perfect drawn up sketch of a husband, which, that's playful and cute, but there's some reality to that there's so many folks that I've encountered in ministry and in the work that we do, who they really do. They have a 50-point checklist. And if on the first date they find one thing that's off, it's a no-go, because they've created this impossible image of a husband or a wife in their mind that no one could live up to. And I think it can really cut off discernment at the knees oftentimes and not leave room for something as beautiful as your marriage. If
I was waiting for, or if she was waiting for the one, like I think we would, looking back, she's the one for me.
Yes.
Going before I made that decision, I don't know.
Yeah.
She doesn't know. And I think we put so much kind of on that it's like, no. There isn't one until you make a decision. That's and then there is one.
Yes.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. At the end of the wedding ceremony, now there is one.
Exactly.
That's the one forever. Yep.
You got it.
Oh my gosh. Well, Mike and Alicia Hernon, what a beautiful story of your own romance, your own journey. And and the other thing, sorry, one more misconception that I love that you brought up is that neither of you mentioned one moment where you were perfectly sure, okay, now I know this is the person that I'm going to marry. No, that it was this gradual unfolding. And I'm sure for some people there probably is one moment they can point to, but for so many of us, it is a realization over time in prayer and in conversation. There's so much beauty there. I love it.
Yeah, and I think that just to kind of put another exclamation point on that is just God works with us slowly. because we're dumb and we're slow, and
God doesn't rush us.
But God doesn't work in the rush,
Right.
and that simple, natural understanding of the human person, understanding of the other. It was much stronger because it was built with some time, and it was much stronger because I looked at Alicia, her as an individual, her as a beautiful woman, her in the way that we had conversations and had a friendship, but also her in the context of her family of origin. Like I saw, as close as I could, a full picture.
Right.
And that gave me all the confidence that I needed, as well as me at the same time working on my junk, working on myself.
Sure.
So as to present myself, ready and capable.
Can I say one more thing, Pat, that I just thought of? Is that I think it's also so important in every dating relationship that we are called to love, that we're called to love.
Yeah.
You're called to love that person who is right in front of you. You may not marry them, but if you're out on a date with them, if you're out for coffee, if you're out for dinner, love them. Learn how to love this person, and I remember when we were forming that friendship, we would say, like, I really love you as a brother. I really love you as a sister. We were very comfortable saying that because we were learning how to love, because every person you come in contact with is going to move you either further towards Christ or further towards him or further away from him, know? And I think that having that openness to just discover the beauty in every person, I think that that's also part of the discernment. Never cut anybody off just because they're not what you're looking for. Even if they're not who God has for you, who cares? Love them.
Yes.
Love them. And there were some guys that I know that we were, there was an attraction there, whatever. We're still friends because I was able to love them where we were at that time. And it's a beautiful part of just discernment in the body of Christ, and just to keep that in mind for our young people. Never be afraid to love other people, because that's ultimately what God is calling us all to as well.
I love it. Oh, Mike and Alicia, thanks so much for sharing your story, your relationship, and your family with all of us. And whether you're dating, engaged, or married out there right now, take some wisdom from these two. They know what they're talking about. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks,
God bless you.
Bye-bye.